On January 28, 1969, an oil rig off the coast of Santa Barbara, California, burst open when the Union Oil Company had not taken the responsibility to follow safety measures. After this event took place, the U.S. became aware of the importance of protecting the environment. Immediately, community members sprung into action to take the responsibility of caring for the earth around them. Later on, the government had introduced new laws in order to help guide people's actions, to keep not only the environment but our communities safe as well. Around the time the rig off Platform A had burst, the then current method of offshore drilling was new to most people. With new technology came new responsibilities. Any rig worker had a lot of trust put into them. Any mishap would be in their hands. From the years 1969 to 2008, a total of 850 barrels of oil had been lost. Also, since 1953, oil companies had to meet the expectations set by the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act. Just days before the disaster, Platform A had one of its regular inspections, and due to a few sly tricks, they had gotten away with multiple things that led Union Oil and the Santa Barbara wildlife to disaster. According to the state of California, the location of Platform A was outside of California's coastal zone. This gave the oil company a door to cut the corners on some laws. The U.S. Geological Survey required lining on oil rig piping that was 300 feet thick. However, they allowed the lining to be cut as much as 61 feet thinner. Another major problem was the oil rig's location. Union Oil Company had been given a green light for not digging deeper into the oil deposit. This was the key to cause the disaster. Even with a few feet of a difference, the entire mishap could have been avoided. On January 28th, Platform A had met its fate. It had burst open and oil began seeping out by the gallon. Over the course of 11 days, 200,000 gallons of crude oil had been lost. Because of this, a whooping 3,600 birds, fish, and other seashore life had died. Santa Barbara, a beautiful location, had been soiled at the hands of a company they never wanted in their area. Immediately, the community took full action. Local farmers had brought in bales of hay that would help soak up the massive oil that was destroying the coast. In order to collect even more oil from the spill, cat litter was dumped into the ocean to absorb excessive amounts of hay that they could not handle. More people had helped by showing up to the beaches and tried to clean the seabirds as well as they could. This event was so disastrous at the time, and California saw a need for heightened restrictions on the oil industry from there on out. What oil companies had been doing for the past years was no longer acceptable. California saw the safety of the community was possibly at risk with the small sacrifice of some oil companies' freedom put laws into effect. Many college students also joined their local school environment activist groups to help take a stand. One person commented, "I am always tremendously impressed at the publicity that the death of birds receives versus the loss of people in our country in this day and age. When I think of the folks that gave up their lives when they came down in the ocean off of Los Angeles some 3 weeks ago, and the fact that our society forgets that within a 24-hour period, I think relative to that, the fact that we had no loss of life from this incident is important. Seeing that the well-being of the environment meant a lot of people of Santa Barbara, as well as the rest of the country, sometimes more than human losses." Santa Barbara's community showed responsibility for their community, and the country soon followed. Just 1 year after the oil spill, the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA for short, was put into effect. This was the act that caused oil companies to not only have heavy regulations in California, but nationwide as well. The Environmental Defense Center was introduced to help the country embark on its journey to a safer and greener America. More oil companies occupy the waters off the coast of Santa Barbara, such as Western States Petroleum. The company uses technology that lessens the risk for disaster like the one in 1969. Santa Barbara was introduced to its Community Environmental Council. Their organization was the heart and soul of the local environmental movement. The organization has recognized a procedure on how to obtain needed change. According to their website, their plan takes place in 5 steps. 1. Identify a critical community need. 2. Raise awareness about that need. This is done often by setting a challenge goal for the community. 3. Push the state and local government to change laws and regulations that affect the issue. 4. Take direct action ourselves toward that need. And 5. Spur the community to adopt new behaviors. The start of Earth Day began in the city of Santa Barbara, inspired by the large amount of awareness brought by the oil spill of 1969. What had started as a city festival became an observed event across the country. It inspired communities to take action to keep a greener community. Santa Barbara has yet to let go of its responsibility for the environment. In more recent times, oil companies appear to be more confident in their emergency procedures. In 2008, another oil spill happened in the same relative location as the one back in 1969. During 2010, an oil company by the name of Veneco was trying to build a new rig site near a seal sanctuary. This to please the community, and so they took the issue in their own hands yet again and fought against it, defeating the proposition by as much as 70%. Rather than dwelling on the disaster the Santa Barbara oil spill of 1969 brought, the event left a big impression not only on the city of Santa Barbara, but rather the entire U.S. The event showed the country that we must take responsibility to care for the environments that the country has to offer.